Hello everybody, my name is Adibola Padru. I am a musculoskeletal physiotherapist and a career mentor to young physiotherapists and maybe physiotherapy students. Today I want to talk about how you could get any job fresh out of school, or you've been out of school for a while, you've been applying for jobs, you haven't gotten any, and that is the power of volunteering. So I had someone reach out to me recently and she said she's recently completing her master's in the UK and she's been applying and she wants to start applying for a job. But her biggest worry is that when she finishes her studies, she may not be able to get a job, being that she doesn't have any experience. And I know this is a fear that's common among many young graduates. Be you a nurse, a physio, radiographer, you may have this worry about not getting a job once you're out of school. And the truth is, this worry comes from the fact that a lot of young physios or young clinicians have not mastered the art of volunteering. And today we're going to talk about how you could take advantage of this. In the Western world, you could have your master's in any field you are in, and you may think the master's is going to give you an advantage or an edge over your competition, and many times it does not. The reason being that experience counts more than qualification in many Western countries. And I'm not saying your qualification doesn't matter. I'm just saying experience counts more. So if you have someone who has a master's, let's say in physiotherapy, for example, and they have 0 years of experience, and then someone who has a first degree, but then they have, let's say, 5 years of experience, the person who has 5 years of experience would definitely have an edge over someone who doesn't. Your master's is good. It shows commitment to lifelong learning, but it's not evidence that you've actually proven yourself in that particular field. And for that reason, employers may not want to take you on because experience is something you cannot buy. Qualification doesn't test you. It doesn't show that you've actually been hands-on in the job or the field. It doesn't show that you understand the rigor of the job and the do's and the don'ts, and it shows that they may have to do a lot of work in teaching you the ropes of the job. But someone who has experience has proven himself or herself in that particular field, and that's why employers would rather go for someone who has experience in that role. Advantages to volunteering, and the first is very obvious. It gives you the experience, the hands-on experience, so you know exactly what you can do, what you shouldn't do, or how to do your job. So that experience is, again, something you cannot buy. You just have to be there to learn it. So you get the hands-on knowledge when you volunteer in a particular role. One other advantage, again, still also obvious, is the fact that it gives you an edge on your CV. So you can put it on your CV and say, I've worked in so-and-so place, and I have so-and-so experience. I worked there for 6 months, I worked there for 1 year. And the beauty about volunteering is you could volunteer 1 day a week, just 1 day, and yet it's still going to count on your CV as experience. Another advantage of volunteering is it puts you one foot in the door. So whenever you want to volunteer, they may not be recruiting at that time, but should they want to recruit, you would most likely be the first person, being that, one, they know you, they trust you, you know the ins and outs of the place, you know the policy, you know everything about the place. So they would rather take you than take someone else that hasn't worked there before. So that's something we should consider. And what I would say is, if you want to work in a particular place, let's say there are 4 or 5 places you have in mind you want to work, you pick the one you want to work in the most, the place that has more appeal to you, and you go and volunteer there, having it in mind that they may one day bring you in. And if they don't, you could take the experience you've gotten from there, take it somewhere else and apply it. There are several things to consider when you want to volunteer for a place of work. One, proximity, because I feel if you keep going to a place that is maybe a bit far from your place or is a challenge to get to, eventually you will get tired and burnt out, because one thing you need to have in mind is the fact that you're not being paid for this job. So if you're going to volunteer, make it a place that's easily accessible to you, a place that you wouldn't get tired of going there constantly due to distance. Think about where you want to volunteer in. Does it align with your desired specialty? If you're an MSK physiotherapist or you want to go into MSK role, ask yourself this question. Is it good for me to work in this particular place that's a pediatric clinic, for example? Because if you're MSK working in a pediatric clinic, that will not count on your CV as experience. Look at it and see if it aligns with your desired goal or specialty. You also need to look at the particular place you're volunteering. With the name of that place, would it have any impact on your CV? Does it have weight? You don't want to work for an unknown company. You want to work in a company that when you mention it on your CV, it will definitely carry a lot of weight. Lastly, I'm going to talk about how you can apply for a volunteer role, and it's quite simple. You could do it two ways. You could do a cold email or a cold call. So a cold call is basically you calling up the place and asking them if they are willing to take you on as a volunteer. If you're someone who's a student, you could say, I'm a student, I just want to work, shadow, and get the hands-on experience. I could work as a physiotherapy assistant and get the hands-on experience. And if you're someone who's a graduate already and you're fully licensed, you could say you're fully registered, you want to work for them, and you want to basically help reduce the workload for them and other stuff. You don't want it to be a take relationship, but rather a give-take relationship. So you tell them what you're willing to offer, free labor, basically. So you just want to have the experience. So they're not going to pay you. They're not losing anything. You're working there. You're licensed, you're registered, and you're going to help reduce their workload. So you're going to contribute to the workforce. And the only thing you're asking for is just the experience of working for them. Now, one other way in which you could do this is by doing a walk-in. So if you live close to the place you want to work in, you could just walk there, introduce yourself and tell them who you are and what you're looking for. That way, they get to see you, maybe do a brief interview with you and tell you what the answer is there. I wish more people used volunteering as a way to get experience rather than waiting. And you see sometimes you often hear of people who have waited 2-3 years looking for a job, 6 months looking for a job, they haven't gotten a job, they get discouraged. If you use the power of volunteering, I don't think there's any job that you wouldn't be able to get, because you definitely have the experience. And when you compare yourself to your counterparts who haven't volunteered, you would be far ahead of them. So I hope this helps anyone who's looking for a job, and I hope to see you next in my next video.